think that Lyra can be a slight liability. And if you get the 2v1 scenario, you can start to take over the game.
I think a lot of people would agree with you that Lyra has been a slight liability at times this tournament, but we'll see what Clutch are going to do. Currently sitting at 1 and 2, Mammoth at 2 and 1. Clutch, if they lose this, are out of Worlds play-ins. Would be the first time NA has ever been eliminated in the play-in group stage.
And what a tournament it would be if that was the case. If you told me that DFM went out, I'd be like, okay. After taking a game off Splice, I would be like,
okay.
All right, I can kind of see it. Maybe one unlucky game. However, if Clutch, the 3rd seed from North America, was to bow out of Worlds as the 2nd team,
it would be a shock to be sure. Now, Mammoth getting rid of some of Hooney's strong picks in the form of the Rumble and, of course, the Kiana from DeMonte. Morgana, Syndra, and Vlad taken away from Mammoth. The Vlad targeted towards Triple, and Rakan is the first pick.
And I really like when teams do this. If you have something like the Rakan that can team up with either the Kai'Sa or the Xayah or the Lucian, why not prioritize that pick? Because it is one of the most engage-heavy, dominant champions that Vulcan can play, and it is also Destiny's best engager, bar none. So I really appreciate kind of the thought that has gone into Clutch's draft so far, and the Rek'Sai just continues to add towards this, right? Get the early game rolling, be able to secure scaling laners, but you need a bridge to be able to allow them to just not get pushed in, and an aggressive jungler and aggressive support will do that.
Yeah, something like a Rek'Sai or Elysis tends to be that bridge that we see, and as you say, the Rakan works well in the bottom lane. Mammoth here with their final pick of the first rotation. Have already got their AD carry, and we assume their jungler in the form of Jarvan. Could look towards mid, could look towards top. And it looks like Fudge is going to get his Gangplank once again.
And I'm really surprised that they didn't take it for Hooney, because we already rattled off multiple AD carries that can be partnered down into that bottom lane. However, Hooney's Gangplank is something to behold. This does allow Fudge to get the 2-ban protection as well on the red side of Summoner's Rift. See whether they take something strange away, like a Lucian that has been played into in the past, or a Tristana could also give it some problems.
Tristana definitely an option in the ban phase here. There's the Lucian that you said. We'll see where Clutch go with their bans. Probably want to pinch the support or the mid lane pool here.
I would say it's support, right? You get rid of something like a Nautilus. You take out maybe a Thresh, an Alistar, or a Brawl. All of a sudden, as Mammoth, you are staring down quite a negative lane. And whilst we said that they are a team that are willing to play those matchups, especially with a Gangplank, you want to be able to target that area of the map. If you get a pushing mid lane with counterpick, you know, something like the Syndra has been banned away from Triple, then you can start rotating 4 people down into the bottom lane, use that Gangplank ultimate, and really try and take over the bottom side of the map.
2 good predictions from you on the bans from Mammoth, Lucian, and Tristana. Good job there. Spawn, the Leona locked away by Clutch, so it is one of those supports that we talked about, and now we'll see where Clutch go with their final ban.
Yeah, and Leona is a great ban. You know, just good counter towards a Rakan, especially with the shorter distance top, because it's not partnered with the other lover down in the bottom lane. It is going to be a Kai'Sa instead. And Nautilus also makes a lot of sense, you know. One of those ultimates that can follow through Rakan, really wreck his day, not a skill shot. So I think the Clutch's draft so far has been really well prepared.
Yeah, I mean, the last time these 2 teams met, Clutch actually just destroyed Mammoth through early game jungle from the form of Lyra playing the Elise, and they had the Tristana in the top lane. Here, Mammoth going to try and answer some strong early game damage themselves in the form of the LeBlanc.
And they must just rate this pick super high, because you know, double support bans. Obviously, Clutch has already picked theirs up, so you could just go counter bottom lane and hold counter pick mid. So they must just think that with the targeted bans across, you know, you have yourself the Kiana, Pantheon, Vladimir, Syndra, all mid lane bans, that LeBlanc is the last lady standing in the mid lane. And a lot of pressure on Triple. We've seen him play scaling. This is going to be a different look out of Mammoth.
And it's not something we too commonly see from Mammoth. Like, the LeBlanc is good, but usually as a key carry, he's playing things like the Vladimir in that mid lane. He's pretty good on the Orianna. We've seen him play that a couple of times as well.
Yeah, I know Steven quite well. He kind of plays everything. Oh, okay. He's one of those players with a champion Ocean. Back even when he was playing on Avant Gaming, who is, you know, the 4th or 5th team in the OPL when he was on there. He really did enjoy Assassins. He's a good Yasuo player, a good Zed player, does like the LeBlanc. But you're right, on this current iteration, he's just flanked by carries everywhere, so he does more take the back seat and play the scaling options. This time, however, it is not going to be the case.
It's not. The LeBlanc matched by Lissandra, an age-old counterpick there, too tanky to be burst down by that mid lane mage. Ryze is the final pick here. Expect that to go to Hooney in the top lane. And now Mammoth cycling through some engaged supports. Destiny's Alistar. He is known for this champion.
Yeah, he absolutely is. And this is a champion that Destiny is very creative on. Think of the flanks that we were seeing yesterday, you know, the ability to sit off vision, to look for the big engages. Destiny loves creative plays, and Alistar will be able to set that up. However, certainly a worse laner than Rakan. So we'll have to look to be protected a little bit. I expect Babip and Lyra to both play around their bottom lane this game.
Junglers playing around bot lane, top lane left a little bit on an island. Last time we saw Lyra helping Huni out, getting Fudge behind when he was on the gangplank.
And I just don't think you need to in this matchup.
He was on the Karma last time.
He was. He was on Tristana and Fudge was on the Karma. I think that in this matchup, Ryze does really well into GP. He's going to come into lane. He's probably going to go Sapphire refillable, look for an early recall into a tier, and then just look to scale.
Okay.
It's one of those champions that can set up ganks very well. However, Gangplank just uses the orange is going to pop out, probably BK. So I think that you leave Huni on that island. He will eventually win the side lane split, and instead you look to attack the strong point. King has been the win condition, and Cody Sun wants to be able to do the exact same job for Clutch Gaming.
Definitely does. It's a bit odd to see Huni bring out Ryze for the first time in summer here in what could be the Clutch Gaming elimination game from Plains if they lose their outs.
We keep saying that, but it could also be the journey back for Clutch.
It's true.
They've already taken down Mammoth once. We already spoke about the rock, paper, scissors. If they win this game, they just throw everything out the window and they can still look to get top seed.
I mean, they definitely can, but you got to win this game. You got to take it off Mammoth, who came off a win against Unicorns of Love earlier today. Mammoth currently sitting at 2-1, Clutch at 1-2. All could be decided in the next 65 minutes with a little bit of leeway, or we could be going to tiebreakers at the end of the day. If Clutch win, we will have a three-way tie, which means we'll play 2 tiebreakers at the end of the day's action. They tried.
A nice Aussie chant. I like that. There's about 2 of them in the crowd, I think.
Do you want to demonstrate how you'd usually do it?
No, that's fine. I'm not much of a yeller medic. And I do want to take a look at what's happening at this level 1, because when you have a look at the 2 team compositions, Rek'Sai really does struggle when you invade into it. However, Alistar, kind of crappy level 1. LeBlanc, you really don't want to get that much done either. But you can get some good deep vision. Tracking Lyra early would allow Babip to have much better pathing. We saw against Unicorns of Love, against Ananasik, that he was able to kind of scout out the path early and meet on the top side of the map, pick up that first gank onto boss and set Fudge up for some success. Vedi's been really critical of Babip.
Yeah.
He needs to have a good game.
I mean, he definitely does. I think we can all be a little bit critical of Babip. Both these junglers have had bad games and okay games from Babip. I mean, Lyra's had a good game, but I think with so much pressure being put on these junglers playing around bot lane early on, being able to get early advantages for their teams, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on both of them. Both start at the bot side, heading up towards top. I'm sure Fudge will remember how much Huni and Lyra shut him down last time the 2 teams met, and maybe we'll be asking Babip for a little bit of help early on towards that top side.
However, Fudge is one of those young players that kind of takes everything in his stride. He would be thinking about how I get over this hump as opposed to being intimidated by it. Oh!
Yeah, the Vulcan actually knocked back into the wall there. Going to get a lot of damage onto him, but it's traded for damage on King. And usually you take that. If King gets chunked out, he doesn't have as many resources to heal up as a Vulcan will. Fudge just taking a bit of chip damage there as well. It's a bit ahead in terms of CS and hits level 2 first in the lane.
And I think the reason that Fudge is really confident to do this because he has Babip already on the top side of the jungle. So with Huni only level 1 going to be very difficult for a gank to be able to come out of the Rek'Sai, probably going to wait for level 3, and he has the level 2 ganking jungler. So he pushes in, he's going to get the wave to reset off the turret, can maybe even look for a cheeky recall himself, and this should now set up the position where Babip can potentially go for a gank top lane, or maybe even an invade.
Go for the invade, you pushed up the wave. Fudge pushes forward, Babip gets a ward down. Now they know exactly where Lyra is in his jungle path. He's cleared the entirety of the bottom side jungle. Oh, Lyra will have been spotted. Babip spotted, sorry, by the Tremor. Here he goes, pushing forward. Pretty sure he saw Lyra there. Not the best at hide and seek.
He sucks at hide and seek. However, we'll chase him out of the jungle. And you can see that DeMonte's wave is pushing into triple. So that means he's able to move first. So Babip certainly does not want to look for an aggressive play.
Fudge might be able to move first from top, though. The wave has pushed into him. Babip going for the scuttle.
This is greedy.
Greedy indeed. Yes, the wave for Huni is in a prime spot to come up, so Babip will just run away. Lyra will be able to secure the scuttle crab, and as you say, with the wave pushing up in top and in mid, it's very easy for the Clutch jungler to secure that mini objective.
And now it's actually going to be Fudge that is the person that suffers from this. You can see that he's recalling his turret, can't contest the wave anymore. Babbitt's being chased off topside jungle. He doesn't want to be there anyway. No camps. He wants to be able to put them on cooldown. And Fudge really has to respect the dive that would come out of Lyra, so has to burn the TP early. Comes back with just a Doran's Blade.
Yeah, it's not the most monumental first buy. You will be able to secure the cannon, though, which is nice. And Huni taking a tower shot is definitely beneficial. You actually see what Demonte's done here mid. Once again gets the push and then helps Lyra down towards that bottom scuttle crab, trying to deny as much as possible away from Babbitt.
And they've done it. They've been able to pick up the double scuttle start. Lyra still hasn't taken away blue buff, so could potentially leave it up slightly longer. Give that over to Demonte. One of the weaknesses of Lissandra right now is the fact that her mana costs are just incredibly high. And you can see that Babbitt feels like he has to force. Has to push out this wave bottom because otherwise the gank could come in. And we've already mentioned the importance of 80 carries. So this is a great early game start for Clutch.
Neither of these junglers were hide-and-seek champs. I think that's what we've learned here. Babbitt on a ward, spotted out here by Clutch Gaming, who can just back away. I think Babbitt may be staying around just to make sure that his bot lane doesn't get ganked, but Lyra's on the top side of the map, so wouldn't be in position to do it anyway.
So that's going to be Babbitt having to return to his jungle. Is going to be down, the 4 camps at this stage. So we'll see what it takes to be able to recover that position. Camps are respawning, however, hasn't had a shot just yet. And the early power of Jarvan really doesn't seem to be why Babbitt picks the champion medic.
Yeah, he doesn't always actually get anything off in the early game. I've seen him get one level 2 gank off during the regional finals against the Chiefs. He then died doing it, but sometimes it can work.
Happens to the best of us. Tragedy when it does happen. And Fudge, again, going to be shoved in. And we spoke about the ability to move first, or priority. You can see Huni using this to take away or scout out at the minimum one of the most important jungle camps in the early game, those Krugs. And this now allows Demonte to push in much easier. He's already come back to lane with that teleport. You can see that Triple can't run teleport. He has to run a cleanse because it's Lissandra and she puts you in the frozen tomb. And this game becomes very difficult to navigate if you're Mammoth. This looks a lot like...
So I want to think about word choice here, because it is very difficult for Mammoth to navigate, but I know if I were listening at home, I'd think, well, are Mammoth just out? Are they done with this game? Is it over for them because of the early jungle pathing? And they're only 300 gold behind, so why do we say it's so hard for them to navigate?
Because it's control, right? The ability to face check at this stage of the game is just, impossible. You're going to be running into the CC of Rek'Sai, partnered up with Lissandra, and you already saw Vulcan just go for a roam up that river, the full journey, and not get contested. That means that they can bring superior numbers to every fight and be there earlier. Now, if you get level 6 on Fudge, maybe you have the Gangplank ultimate that can swing it. But at the same time, he's also been set behind. He wants to be able to hold that for maybe a turret dive or the roam that can come up top lane from Demonte. So I just think this is one of those games where, unfortunately, you don't have the ability to make your play. You have to allow the Clutch Gaming to make their play and maybe even try and trade sides or just farm up and scale. And we know that's something that Mammoth is very comfortable with. But that's also how they lost against Clutch the first time.
Not being able to play proactively, instead having to be reactive, can be the bane of a team like Mammoth who like to be in control of the game. We can see how much damage Huni can put down onto Fudge as well, just Fudge having to face check straight into that top lane tower. Across the board, CS is in favor of the North American representatives, about 5 in the top lane, 7 to 8 in mid, and about 10 in the bot lane. So in terms of pure laning numbers, Clutch are just taking an early lead.
Yeah, they're just taking small advantages. They're going to look to start chipping away at turrets, They will look for the cracks in the armor. Early Ocean Dragon will, of course, help the situation there as well. And does Lyra go for a chunk here? No, just going to look to shepherd Triple towards the blue.
Triple will be able to take it away. Now Lyra might go in. And as the distortion isn't there, Vulcan on his way as well, and Triple trying to dodge around as much as he can. Lyra could go in for the flash away from Triple. And summon a burnt in the mid lane.
And that was really well played from Lyra there, because he could have flashed, he could have looked for the knock-up. However, with Vulcan coming in, knew that Triple was going to have to burn it. And now with Demonte's ultimate, Triple has to completely cede control. And you can see Fudge has to use the ultimate underneath his turret. This has been quite a difficult early game for Mammoth. Once again, they're only down 200 gold, but you can just see the amount of pressure on the map.
Huni. Just uses the realm warp to force Fudge away. Fudge should be able to get back in time to not lose too much to this tower. He'll probably lose one wave. Doesn't have the teleport, of course, but Huni just baiting as much as he could there, trying to keep Fudge around, see if perhaps he could go for the tower dive. Yeah,
if he cancels a recall, you can just pull Demonte out of mid lane. As we said, Demonte just currently pushing into Triple, would have been able to make that journey. And you can see that even though it's only one minion wave losing, that It's an extra 500 gold that goes across the lineup of Clutch Gaming.
Experience as well that you're losing out on.
Exactly right. And I already mentioned that I think that this is going to be a mid game that Hooney's very comfortable in, going to be able to scale up and win that 1v1 duel. So just removing options from the Mammoth lineup.
And with a minute and a half before the Rift Herald spawns, I'm pretty sure I know what Clutch will want to play around next. Have a Tear and a Forbidden Idol on, Lost Chapter on Hooney. Could look towards that Rift Herald play. No real vision there from Clutch yet, and it looks like Mammoth are playing down towards the bottom side of the map for the time being. Maybe we'll look up towards top.
And the interesting thing to track has been how other teams respond to Clutch's Rift Herald. Do you decide to fight it? Do you try and trade across map objectives? Do you try and soft contest? The staggered objective of the Dragon going down at about the 6-minute mark does make that a little bit more difficult to trade objectives successfully on the bottom side of the map.
At the moment, Mammoth are looking bot side. They know that Lyra is likely to be top. Babbit will sneak into the second bush, and then they all back.
Or do they?
Or do they? Looks like Babbit is going to back. King will get the next push on the wave here. Look at the damage actually coming down mid onto Triple. He'll jump away, but that was the Frozen Tomb from Demonte. His ultimate now burned, won't be available for any fight around the Rift Herald.
And I think that's telegraphed that they want to be able to start up the Rift Herald without swapping the lane. So they chunk out Triple. You know, he's already flashless, going to struggle to face check that. Now with it up and available, they have push in the mid lane, they have push in the top lane. You don't even really have to bring Cody and Vulcan to this fight. You might want to cheat a recall onto Vulcan and just make sure that Destiny doesn't provide superior numbers. But with good enough vision control at this stage of the game, you should just be able to take this Herald for free.
It looks like at the moment they're just willing to keep the control around there. They're getting plates in the top lane, so you don't have to force the Herald too quickly. It looks Lyra will back away, so they're not going to go for it right now. But I've yet to see, as you say, this job and really paying off for Babbit. Hasn't really had an impact on the game. He's about 25 farm behind. It's a bit of a struggle bus here for Mammoth.
Yeah, it's really done nothing. You can see the great vision control on the top side of the map as well means that even with Jarvan up there, he's looking for a counter gank. Rooney's just whacking the turret over and over again. And it's going to be CS leads also starting to build in top lane. The plates also being there in the top lane. And finally, they are swapping for the Herald, and Mammoth seem to have the read on this. I don't understand why Clutch would necessarily look for this play, because it seems like they're winning so heavily. You don't want to give a team fight over at this stage of the game.
I very much agree with you in terms of how powerful they are right now, but they have also started to get this first and a half item in, so maybe that's why they're now trying to up the tempo a little bit. You've got the Manamune, you've got the Seraph stacking up, you've got Sorcerer's Boots on Demonte alongside the Revolver, so they are very powerful right now.
But they don't have a Gangplank ultimate.
That is true.
So if a Gangplank ultimate is dropped on the head, sure, Hooney can come across with a teleport, but it does take time to finish and register and come through. So if Triple blows someone up, if the fight doesn't get off to the right start, this could be a disaster. So instead, I like what they're doing. They're just holding the vision. They're seeing if the face check is going to come out of the Mammoth lineup. They're playing for the waves. And if they just hold this, Hooney will continue to take turret plates bottom lane as well and continue to build that lead.
They were going in. EQ combo away from Babbit means that Lyra won't be able to get any follow-up and clears out vision in the Rift Herald pit. Meanwhile, bot lane, Hooney's pushed in, but Fudge just winning this one. Realm Warp from Hooney just about gets him out. Fudge still has the flash, could go for the chase. Flash away from Hooney. That's respect from the Clutch Gaming top laner.
And so now they don't have the Gangplank ultimate to drop on a Herald fight, but they do have more pressure bottom lane. This allows Fudge to push out the wave, potentially walk up. That is a huge turnaround, because top lane, it looked like Hooney was just destroying Fudge.
It must have been Hooney just stepping a little bit too far, taking a tower shot. Now that's the TP burnt as well. Fudge can back, can reset. The question is, do Mammoth want to hard force the Rift Herald now that they know that Hooney's not going to be able to join, when they have to understand they're going to lose plates in the bot lane if they do?
Medic, let's be realistic. If we've learned anything out of Mammoth, it's when they get an advantage, they use it to scale. Yes, they use it to just collect more minions on the map. They're going to look to continue to farm. Sure, their jungler is behind, but he's a tank anyway. He doesn't really do all that much in the late game. So I expect them to just continue to keep these lanes, chase around the Clutch Gaming members and try and look for the optimal setup. And I don't really expect them to journey into the river, which means that maybe the second Ocean Drake's going to go over to Clutch as well. And 2 Ocean Drakes starts to make this game look very tricky if you keep standard lane.
Especially against people that tend to have mana issues. You talked about Lissandra struggling when she has to spam out spells. Well, now with Double Ocean, that becomes even easier. The same goes for Ryze. Even though you have a Seraph stacking up, it becomes even easier when you have the Ocean Drag.
And this is my problem with Mammoth. You could see that they've gone and cheated off the vision. You can make an educated guess that they're on the dragon, and they didn't use that time to clear out the vision. Now, they're now trying to do it. But you can see that Lyra already coming up. This could turn into a fight. And they don't have control of top wave. They don't have control of mid wave. So this could be an uneven numbered fight for Clutch if they pull the trigger.
Babbit will smite it and secure the Scuttler. Lyra's towards the mid lane. Triple just doing what he can, farming up this wave as it gets pushed into him. Lyra won't go forward, and you promised me a fight there for a second, Spawn.
I did.
You promised it. And it didn't happen.
Silly mistake. Both of these teams look very content to continue
they're very happy
to scale.
scaling. I think that should be the expectation for the next 10 minutes or so. Scaling, finding a pick here or there if you can. If someone oversteps like Huni did in the bot lane, then punishing them. But for now, these lanes will remain the same. Towers will be chipped away at. And until 4 minutes from now when the Infernal Dragon comes on, I don't really expect too much action to happen. Because
let's not forget what we're playing for. If Clutch lose this game, if they throw around another Rift Herald, they're done. They're out. Yep. That's their Worlds run finished. Mammoth would move to first in this group. That would be the first time an Oceanic Seed has kind of made it this far in a tournament, whilst it has been in the current format, as Ejim likes to remind me. But that would be huge for the Oceanic region. So you can see both of these teams very cautious in the fights they're looking to pick.
They really are. OPL has never made a main stage of an international tournament. Of course, making it to knockouts is the first step for that. Being a first seed makes it easier for you to get through groups, and what an experience it would be for the Mammoth lineup. But you look across the other side, Huni made it to finals with SKT, was on Fnatic when they made semi-finals. DeMonte, North America's mid lane hope. The next guy following in Pobelder's footsteps. Cody Sun made it here 3 times, only played once. Well, he's played twice now if you count the clutch one, but didn't leave the best impression the first time he played at Worlds with with Immortals. Had a plane named after him, and not in the good way. Now Fudge down towards the bottom side, pops the cannon to try and stay alive. He's trying to clear the wave. Huni tanking it up. Huni, one more shot might be enough. He's got the Saras, he's got the shield, and Lyra's got the kill.
Really well played from Huni there. Knows exactly the amount of damage he can take, and it's just a slow, well thought out turret dive. They're willing to trade on this side of the map now because they know that plates are gone. So whilst it's going to be the Rift Herald picked up, the turret on the bottom lane should come under pressure, and more gold being funneled into Clutch's main carry in Huni.
With the latest First Blood at Worlds this year, Huni getting it. I thought he was going to go down, but he had that Saras. Fudge did everything he could here.
Yeah, he really played this nicely, Fudge. He was able to flash back over the turret as well. However, the mini stun of the knock-up still just did register there, and you can see Huni strolls away. Very nice timing. And that will now lead to potentially some pressure in the mid lane turret.
Clutch opening up the map. They're taking down bot lane tower. They'll take down mid as well. Vulcan trying to jump onto Babbit, who gets away. The Rift Herald did fall. Mammoth picked it up while their top laner was being dived in the bottom lane. But Clutch now, 16 minutes in, a 3,000 gold lead for the North American squad.
And you can see now a minute 40 on this Infernal Dragon that's going to come up. So they need to be able to get shops out of the King members of Mammoth. However, the gold lead's starting to open up, 3,500 gold. And complete control of the river just seems to be in Clutch's hands. Every time Mammoth look to step in there, it's only as a reactionary play. They're not willing to challenge Lyra. What I would like to see Mammoth do, however, at this stage of the game, is use this Herald to generate pressure either mid or top, and see whether Clutch respond to it, and whether that can get you an Infernal Dragon pickup. Because for a Xayah, for a LeBlanc, for a Gangplank, that could be a huge dragon that negated kind of the poor early game we've seen so far.
Yeah, they're yet to be so far away, so far behind in terms of itemization, in terms of stats, that a LeBlanc with an Infernal couldn't just burst out one of these players on the side of Clutch. There aren't any real tanks apart from Melisandre, and this is the sort of pick that might work for Mammoth. Huni's off towards the side of this, going to get some damage down to Destiny. Babbit takes a chunk as well, but Mammoth are still in a place where a couple of picks get them right back into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you have a look at what they were just able to burn, you know, the quickness out of the Rakan, that means that this next Dragon fight becomes a little bit more difficult to execute. Less threat onto King means that he might be able to free fire into it, but you're still going to have to deal with Huni. He's got 2 completed items at this stage of the game. One being the Morellonomicon, which is going to make his lane versus Fudge just so good. Obviously not sending him there yet because he doesn't have the teleport up and available. Instead, that's going to be DeMonte facing off against the young man, taking down another turret. But this team fight should be Clutches. They are so much stronger at this stage of the game.
Rift Herald just used there in the mid lane. Not going to be able to get that priority perhaps that we wanted. Infernal is up in 5 seconds. Mammoth's going to try and play around it. Huni! That was a flash. It wasn't a good one.
And now they don't have Huni's flash for the Fire Dragon. They're going to be able to take down the Rift Herald. Not even a charge coming across, but you can see Mammoth do have inside track.
Fudge is just going to get knocked up here. It's chased down. Babbitt trying to flash onto Liver. Can't quite land it. Here comes the chase. Cataclysm comes down. And Vulcan has fallen. Huni, no flash. Where you going to go, son? Shut down by Mammoth.
And Demonte doesn't even teleport for the play. He goes, guys, you made the mess. You clean it up. I want absolutely nothing to do with this. 2 kills go over to Mammoth, and they're going to get the Drake.
Well, the Rift Herald worked. That's all we can say in the end. They used the Rift Herald to bait out Huni's flash, take the fight in the mid lane, and get the Inferno. Mammoth found a couple of picks, still 3,000 gold behind. You can see Huni and Demonte still topping that gold chart. But all it takes is a couple of kills on King. All it takes is a couple of fights like this for Mammoth to be well back in the game.
And we can see what Herald gives them. It gives them inside track. However, Fudge's rotation is really lazy. It's just a stroll through mid lane. However, the bait is going to be there. And this is a great Jarvan ultimate from Babip onto the members that did not have flash available. Able to pick up the 2 kills, able to get the shutdown. And we know, if we know anything about Mammoth from this world, it's like the only member that really needs items is King.
Yep.
Everyone else just kind of plays meat shield in front of this Xayah, and he's going to be the primary carry of the team.
It's about 500 gold ahead in terms of AD carries. Cody's son still sitting at 0-0-0, yet to die this game. Has about 7,000 gold in his back pocket. Look at the difference in top, though. Still 1,500 lead for Huni.
And that's what I was saying. Huni will just destroy this side lane.
Yeah.
Ryze in a side lane versus Gangplank is such an oppressive matchup, and there's not all that many options. They continue to try and find Vulcan on his invade.
Oh, Triple's going to land the chains here. One connects, the quickness comes out, but it's not enough.
They got
and
Lyra.
now Lyra's gone into the backline. Who's coming in from the side? Teleport coming in from Mammoth as they look for the fight. Void rush onto the backline. Triple's down, but we have to watch this AD carry. He's shut down as well. Clutch find the fight they were looking for. Mammoth engaged, but Clutch will chase them down. Babbitt falls. Fudge short to follow, you have to feel, as he runs away. But Cody's son just needs one Void Seeker to connect, and Fudge will be done for. Fudge continues to run away. Baron has been started here by Huni and by Demonte. Fudge down. Void Seeker finds its mark, and now Clutch Gaming turn their eyes towards the Baron.
And a great team fight out of Clutch. This is what it looks like when the 2 members with all the gold actually show up and decide to fight back. They wipe the Mammoth lineup. They're going to pick up a 20-minute Baron, and this game becomes incredibly difficult for the Oceanic lineup.
Clutch Gaming find the fight, find the Baron. They find a monumental lead, and as you say, it becomes very difficult for Mammoth here. 6,000 gold behind.
And look at the itemization that we just see. Actually, take a look at the replay first. This is Vulcan going for an invade, and Mammoth think they can punish it. However, they didn't account for the superior numbers. You can see that Fudge still doesn't know the fight's going to really start, only now just channeling his TP. And the damage from Huni there was just disgusting. The ability for Rek'Sai to live that little bit longer through the ultimate, and then the carries clean up, the important members still alive, still untouched, and take down the Mammoth lineup.
Spell Flux just does so much there for Huni, bouncing around all the players from Clutch who are grouped up. And now, Mammoth looking for a little bit of catch. Babbitt's getting his own blue buff, but Clutch can just roam around the lanes here. You've got Realm Warp coming up pretty soon. Huni can switch between mid and top as much as he wants, mid and bot, sorry. And now Clutch just closing in on this game. It's very difficult for Mammoth to do anything.
And very strange itemization choice coming out of Babip. You can see that there are so many magic damage dealers, and Huni and Demonte are the 2 members that are the furthest ahead.
Oh, triple. Oh, triple. That's not what you want to do. Huni will eat those for breakfast.
Certainly did. And that's going to be a Knight's Vow Rush for the Jarvan player, which means that he just can't even tank the front line. You can see King taking so much damage as well. Huni's a one-man wrecking crew.
Huni can just do whatever he wants now. He's going to walk underneath this inhibitor tower. 22 minutes in, Clutch are knocking on the Mammoth base. There's the Zhonya's out of Huni. Knockup going to come onto Babip, and he's already shut down. The Oceanic dream of first seed, well, it's delayed for now. Clutch hold on to their position here at Worlds. You have to feel the inhibitor is their next target in the mid lane, then they'll go towards the bottom, take the second inhib of the game. 22 minutes in, Clutch are demolishing Mammoth.
And you got to remember the rules of the 3-way tie. It is going to be Clutch with the quickest win time if they get this done before, I think, 37 minutes. So this is a really important speed run they're going for.
Triple just about escaping, but I will give some clarity on that. To be the team with the fastest win, Clutch needs to hit a time of 37.54. Otherwise, the Unicorns of Love will seed in first in the group. To be the second fastest, they need to hit a time of 39.43. Otherwise, Mammoth will be second seed. And the reason that's important is second versus third seed will face each other in our first tiebreaker later today.
And let's take a look at how much damage and work Huni is getting done. You can see baits the entirety of the team in. That is going to be a great counter engage, and Huni doesn't fall because he's so far accelerated in this game. The members of Mammoth want to be able to defend, but already 2 inhibitors broken at 23 minutes. 8,000 gold the lead.
Yeah, they're speedrunning this one. Clutch should be able to close this one out under that 37-minute time cap, getting themselves the first seed out of the group for the tiebreakers, that is. Means they'd only have to play 1 tiebreaker rather than 2 later on today. It is a big deal for Clutch to finish this one in under 37 minutes. And Mammoth, of course, will be looking at whether they can fight back. It's a monumental task, but there are still a few options.
And it's also a big deal for UOL because they've been able to beat Clutch, but they haven't been able to yet beat Mammoth, which means that the Mammoth versus UOL matchup could not be in their favor. We've already seen it twice this Worlds, and you can see the damage still there.
Destiny jumping in, trying to get onto Huni, but look at how tanky that Rise is. The charm coming out, the quickness is enough, and Mammoth are falling to pieces. A double for Cody, he's going in. He wants the Penta, but it's stolen away from him. Lyra and Damonte taking a killer piece. And Cody's son will have to be happy with a triple in the end. Nexus Tower is the target. Clutch even out the group. 2-2-2-2-2-2. We are going to tiebreakers at the end of the day.
An absolute shellacking coming out from Clutch Gaming. They school Mammoth on this day and say that in this rock, paper, scissors duel, we still win versus the Oceanic representatives. That's huge for Clutch. You feel like they needed a decisive victory for their confidence going into tiebreakers. That is exactly what that was.
That was an impeccable victory. Like, there were a couple of times when you thought, oh, Clutch made a mistake here. There was a lot of dancing around the Rift Herald, but then they were just like, no, play through Huni, play through a side lane. That's how they won their regional qualifiers.
The biggest mistake was Huni had to burn Flash in a side lane. Apart from that, everything else was a calculated trade, was the willingness to be able to get elsewhere on objectives. One, missed Team 5 mid lane. Damonte didn't even really teleport to it. They knew that that was not where they won the game. But when they did commit, they made damn sure that their shot hit, and it takes them through that tiebreaker scenario.
Definitely does. You can see the confidence on Damonte and Huni's faces as they walk by here. The team knows what they've got to do to make it to the knockout stages. They know what they've got to do to take down whoever they face there and get to groups. And what a performance it would be from them. Disappointing for the majority of their season. Only the last month they've really come alive as a team. Clutch showing that they can continue that form on the international stage.
And I just love the process behind Clutch. You know, up or down performances, they always have big smiles on their face. They're trying to take this in the fashion that they play League of Legends, you know, go through Huni, buck the trend of the meta, you know, get the counter pick there with the Rise in the top lane, and be able to continue to shut down these play-in regions on the top side of the map. They haven't been able to do it against UOL yet, but they may get another shot to be able to do that and take first seed in this group.
And it's not common that we get to, you know, cast one of the last games of a group and not have to say commiserations to the other team. Of course, Mammoth would have wanted to take the win.